Yesterday, Wednesday, a state board rejected the Times Square casino bid from Jay-Z in Roc Nation and those companies that I mentioned.
Did I lie? Did I not tell you them crackers was not finna get Jay-Z no damn casino in New York City? Did I not tell y'all that? This man now would have took a loan against his house because they wouldn't even give him a loan to go and put a bid in on the casino because he had the owner of Caesar's Palace and then he had an ex-federal informant and mob ties down there trying to put a bid on a casino to bring into Broadway.
And there's a theme in Queens, and I know Nas is a part of this. Queens get the money. Sorry, Jay-Z, we win again. I just had to rub that in.
Jay-Z is heated right now, and honestly, anyone in his position would be fired up. Picture investing your name, your legacy, and your billionaire reputation into a flashy Times Square casino plan, only for the city to shut the whole thing down before it even left the ground. Then, just a few days later, Nas, yes, that Nas who hit Jay with Ether back in the day, suddenly gets the green light for his $5 billion Queens casino project. The timing is wild, almost like someone scripted it on purpose. And if that wasn't already stirring the pot, Queensborough President Donovan Richards jumped in and openly flexed to reporters saying, "Queens gets the money, sorry Jay-Z, we win again." That wasn't just a little shade. That was a full-on victory dance in broad daylight at Jay's expense. Now the streets are buzzing like crazy. Fans are connecting everything and repeating the same line. This doesn't feel like simple business moves. This feels like old wounds being reopened. The takeover versus Ether era was ruthless, and people remember every detail. That's why so many are calling this moment a straight betrayal. So here's what really went down. Jay-Z had been backing a massive Caesar's Palace casino project planned for the heart of Times Square, and he expected it to be a power move. We're talking billions on the table here. A whole new gambling hotspot dropped right in the middle of Broadway. And of course, Jay being Jay, he hyped it up like it was about to become the new crown of New York City. But the problem was, the community wasn't rocking with it at all. The Broadway League came out swinging, the locals pushed back hard, and the advisory committee straight up shut it down like, nope, not happening here. Just like that, Jay's vision of a Times Square takeover went up in smoke. And let's be honest, Jay is not used to catching public L's like this. His whole image is built on always winning, always being 10 steps ahead, always making the power move. So watching him get shut down before the plan even hit the final stage, that's more than embarrassing. That's a crack in the mogul image he's been polishing for decades. And here's where it cuts even deeper. Jay wanted Manhattan, the bright lights, the tourists, the global spotlight. He wanted the premium zip code energy. But instead, the city slammed the door right in his face. And the wild part? A few days later, Nas steps in with Queens and gets approved like it's nothing. This wasn't just a no for...
With their decision, as they obviously voted against the casino.
You know it. Yeah. We met the standard and then some, and the only one with courage to stand up is the governor and the mayor appointees, and everybody else runs and hides.
And this is where everything flips. While Jay's Times Square plan was falling apart in public, Nas was in the cut setting up a major win right in his own neighborhood. The Queens Resorts World expansion at Aqueduct, with Nas backing it, just got the official green light to move forward. And this is not some tiny side gig. This is a $5 billion blueprint that could turn Queens into a mini Vegas for real. We're talking live table games, blackjack, poker, craps, plus a full concert hall and even a whole sports academy with NBA legend Kenny the Jet Smith involved. This isn't just a casino. This is an entire entertainment kingdom coming to life. And Nas isn't just a face on the flyer. He's got equity, he's in the meetings, he's shaping what this thing is gonna look like. When Nas talked about the project, you could feel it meant something to him. He said it's a real win for the community, something that'll create opportunities for families and help raise the next wave of leaders. And then he closed it out with the line that had everybody talking. Clearly with this project, the world is ours.
The future is not something you wait for, it's something you build. It lives in the hands of the doers. Resorts World is more than a casino. It's energy, it's opportunity, it's hope for the borough. It's where community gathers. This isn't just business, this is legacy. And now it's time to invest in us, because the future doesn't ask for permission. It moves with purpose. From our chairman to our newest employee, we're committed to Queens. And in Queens, the future is now.
Now tell me that's not a wild flex, especially with how perfect the timing looks. Jay gets shut down in Manhattan, and right after that, Nas pops up in Queens like the hometown champion. Fans online are already cracking jokes, saying Nas just ethered him again, but this time with business paperwork instead of bars. Yeah, on paper it's just two rappers turned businessmen chasing billion-dollar opportunities, but when you look at how everything lined up, it hits way deeper for Jay. This isn't just losing a casino bid, this is losing to Nas, and that lands in a whole different place for him. Jay built his entire persona on being the Brooklyn mogul who beat the odds, outsmarted the game, and turned hustle into an empire. From Rockefeller to Rock Nation to billionaire status, he's always sold the image of being the mastermind who stays undefeated. But here's the twist. Nas has a long history of popping up right when people think he's out of the picture, and making Jay look a lot less unstoppable than he wants the world to believe. Remember back in the day when Jay tried to clown Nas on Takeover, calling him irrelevant and washed up? And what did Nas do next? He fired back with ether, shook the whole culture, and flipped the entire narrative in one move.
What was your thoughts when you heard the song?
This motherfucker, he's going crazy. This motherfucker going crazy. Oh, yo.
The casino situation feels almost like deja vu. Jay builds this flashy Times Square vision, expecting it to be another major win. And then boom, denied. Meanwhile, Nas comes through in Queens, the so-called underdog borough, and walks away with the big victory. But to really understand why this hits Jay so hard, you gotta rewind to how their whole rivalry even sparked in the first place. The feud didn't start with some huge scandal. It started with something smaller but way more personal. Back in the mid-90s, Nas was already the chosen one in New York rap. When he dropped Illmatic in '94, he instantly became the artist every rapper studied and respected. Jay-Z, meanwhile, was still grinding for recognition. Reasonable Doubt came out in '96, legendary now, but it didn't chart big when it dropped, so Jay was still climbing his way up. And this is where things took a messy turn. Jay wanted Nas to appear in the video for Dead Presidents, but Nas never pulled up, so Jay went ahead and sampled his voice for the hook instead, which only added to the tension later on.
Of how you made this beat.
I was at one of those conventions, like a How Can I Be Down or something like that, and I think Nas' album had came out, and every car that was driving by was playing "Whose World Is This?" and I, and the pianos and the drums and the whole cadence of that record had me like, yo, this is amazing. I want to make a song like that.
Jay didn't even ask. He just sampled Nas' voice and kept it moving, and Nas was definitely not happy about that. From there, this quiet tension started building between them. It was like Jay was pushing toward Nas's crown, and Nas saw him as a younger rival who needed to calm down and stay in his lane. And honestly, that energy never really disappeared. As you've seen over the years, Jay has a habit of trying to outshine Nas, while Nas has a talent for popping back up at the perfect moment to remind Jay that he's not untouchable. But everything really hit a different level after Biggie passed away. Once that happened, the throne of New York was suddenly wide open, and the subliminal lines turned into straight-up competition. After Biggie's death in '97, the whole city was asking the same question: who's next to hold the title? That's when the slow-burning tension between Jay and Nas flipped into a full tug-of-war. Jay saw himself as the natural next king. He was dropping consistent albums, connecting with major players, and stacking his empire brick by brick. Meanwhile, Nas already had the chosen one status, but his next albums weren't hitting like Illmatic. People started whispering that maybe Nas had lost his spark, and Jay wasn't shy about helping push that idea forward.
Nas or Jay-Z? Nas. I'm gonna go with Jay.
From Queens, gotta go Nas on that.
Okay. I say Nas. Jay-Z or Nas?
Jay-Z.
You taking a shot already?
Easy to me. Jay-Z.
Nas all day. Let's go.
Jay-Z. Nas. Damn. Jay-Z.
Nas or Jay?
On Where I'm From, Jay started sliding in those slick subliminals, basically putting himself in position as the new king of New York. Nas wasn't letting that fly at all. He fired back with his own little shots, like on We Will Survive, where he hinted that Jay was trying way too hard to slide into Biggie's spot. And the fans? They ate that drama up. Suddenly, the whole city was split. Brooklyn versus Queens, Jay versus Nas, the hustler turned mogul versus the poet from the projects. At that point, it stopped being just about music. It became a fight for who truly held New York's legacy in their hands. And like I mentioned earlier in this video, everything finally exploded in 2001 with 2 tracks that straight up reshaped hip-hop history. Jay stopped playing nice and dropped Takeover at Summer Jam, calling Nas out by name. He said Nas only had 1 classic album and basically told everybody that Nas's career was finished. The crowd went wild, and for a moment, it really looked like Jay had locked in the win. But then came Ether. And on that track, Nas wasn't just clapping back, he came swinging hard, aiming to shake Jay to his core. Nas went in on Jay's credibility, his looks, his whole legacy, line after line. No mercy at all. Fans were shocked at how brutal it was, and the whole culture shifted instantly. People started saying Jay got embarrassed, and the word ether literally turned into slang for destroying somebody. That's how deep that track hit. And this casino situation, it's giving Ether Part 2 vibes. That's not even exaggeration. The parallels are sitting right there. Jay came in overconfident, talking big, moving like the win was guaranteed. And then Nas swoops in with the surprise victory nobody expected. The pattern is too familiar. Of course, Jay didn't take that loss quietly back then. He snapped back fast with Super Ugly. And that's when things took an even messier turn. Within days, he rushed out a response track, and instead of keeping it sharp and lyrical, he went straight for personal shots, bragging about being with the mother of NASA's daughter. Yeah. Jay really thought that move was gonna score him points, but it completely backfired. Fans weren't feeling it, critics weren't feeling it, and even Jay's own mom wasn't rocking with it. She straight up told him to call Hot 97 and apologize live on air for crossing the line, and he actually did it. That moment showed everyone he had gone way too far, and the whole city knew it.
It was met with the disrespect, but I'm really sorry for for the other people involved, the other people involved. Because it was either that or we would see each other somewhere, and it would be like, I don't know what happened.
At that point, people started seeing Jay as the one taking all the wild swings, while Nas looked like the survivor who refused to fold. And honestly, that shift is exactly why their rivalry never truly faded. Every time Jay tried to shut Nas down, Nas found a way to flip the whole situation and make Jay look out of touch. But here's the twist. As messy as things got, the beef didn't stay alive forever. A few years later, both of them pulled off one of the most shocking moves the culture had ever seen. After years of throwing shots and dropping some of the most brutal diss tracks in rap history, Jay and Nas actually squashed the beef. And they didn't settle it behind closed doors or in some secret meeting. Nope. They did it right in front of the world. In 2005, Jay was headlining his I Declare War concert, and everybody in the crowd thought he was about to go after more rappers or even start fresh drama. But instead, he brought Nas out as a surprise guest, and the entire arena lost it. The crowd went absolutely wild. These two men who once tried to end each other's careers were suddenly standing shoulder to shoulder, shaking hands, performing together like the past never happened. It felt bigger than music. It felt historic. Fans were stunned because after all the insults, all the disrespect, all the chaos, they were now teaming up, even dropping tracks like Black Republican and Success. But here's the real truth. Even though they made peace, that rivalry never fully disappeared. That competitive energy, that low-key tension, it stayed simmering in the background. And now with this casino situation blowing up again, yeah, it's starting to look like that truce might have quietly expired. And here's the part people aren't talking about enough. This isn't just Nas versus Jay anymore. This is Queens versus Brooklyn all over again. If you know New York hip-hop history, then you already know how deep that goes. Brooklyn has always been the flashy, spotlight-heavy borough. Jay, Biggie, the Barclays Center, everything is about power, money, and prestige. Queens, though, that's the gritty underdog borough that raised icons like LL Cool J, Mobb Deep, Nicki Minaj, and of course, Nas. It's a different kind of pride, a different kind of grind, and seeing Nas score this casino win while Jay takes a public loss brings all that old borough energy right back to the surface. So when Jay's Times Square plan got shut down right in the middle of Manhattan and Nas turned around and locked in Queens, the message was way too loud to ignore. It's like the whole city saying, Brooklyn slipped, Queens delivered, and for the people who lived through the Ether era, this moment feels way too familiar. Almost like history looping right back around. And honestly, that's exactly why this hits Jay so hard. It's not just Nas getting a win, it's Nas getting that win on his own turf, with the whole city watching and hyping him up. That kind of spotlight is tough to brush off, especially for someone like Jay. And if there's one thing about him, it's that he never forgets when someone embarrasses him in public. So maybe this isn't about rap battles anymore. Maybe the next round of their rivalry won't be played out in songs or on stage, but in business moves, boardrooms, and billion-dollar projects. Drop a comment, hit like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you on the next one.